It is confirmed Jake El Gallo de Dorado Paul will be facing Gervonta Tank Davis, the self-proclaimed face of boxing. Now this fight will be taking place in September, and the platform that it's gonna be on will be on Netflix. And who does not have Netflix, right guys? And both of these fighters are looking so far ahead that we already know the purse for one of the fighters. Gervonta Tank Davis will be making the guaranteed of $40 million. We really do not know what Jake Paul guarantee is, but we do know that Gervonta Tank Davis is the B-side of these negotiations. Now, I really do not follow Jake Paul that much, but I do applaud for what he is doing to women's boxing. But I'm really not a fan of his boxing skills. If you fight Jake Paul, I do not really consider it a real boxing fight. I call it more of a sideshow or a spin-off from boxing. So I've never really seen Jake Paul fight except for Mike Tyson. Come on, who did not see that fight? So I never really knew how much Jake Paul got paid, but I believe Mike Tyson got $20 million for their last fight and Jake Paul got $40 million for their last fight. So Jake Paul made 2 times more than what Mike Tyson made, and going by those numbers, I believe that he's gonna get paid double of what Tank made. So if Tank is making $40 million guaranteed, I believe Jake Paul will make $80 million guaranteed. And this is why I believe the whole boxing world calls Gervonta Tank Davis the self-proclaimed face of boxing. Because how are you gonna be the face of boxing and be the B-side? There goes a Chinese riddle for you. And not just that, make half of what your opponent is making. Now that is not real face of boxing money. Now Jake Paul might not be that skilled, but he is very famous, and I'm pretty sure he still has fans that follow him from the Disney days. So Jake Paul is able to make a lot of money without being that skilled because all of his followers. Also look at Ryan Garcia. When he fought Gervonta Tank Davis, they sold 1.2 to 1.4 million pay-per-view buys, but Ryan Garcia had over a million subs. So there are a lot of fighters that are making more money than Tank Davis are, like Terrence Bud Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez. Terrence Bud Crawford will be making a guarantee of $50 million, and Saul Canelo Alvarez will be making a guarantee of $70 million. And that's not including the back-end money from the pay-per-view. And Netflix is free, so there is no pay-per-view on Netflix. So there will be no back-end money there. So Terrence Crawford is gonna be making $10 million more guaranteed than Gervonta Tank Davis is. And Saul Canelo Alvarez will be making $70 million guaranteed. That is almost double than Gervonta Tank Davis is gonna make. Now you guys think that's a lot of money, but you guys have not seen that Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk guaranteed. I believe those two fighters have the biggest guaranteed purses ever. I believe they both took $100 million a piece. Now let's talk about the fight, how it will go. I believe it will be something similar to Shaquille O'Neal versus Oscar de la Hoya and Shaquille O'Neal versus Sugar Shane Mosley. Now when de la Hoya and Mosley fought Shaquille O'Neal, that size difference was very big. It would have been like if Errol Spence would have tried to fight Tyson Fury. Come on, in a regular street fight, a person the size of Shaquille O'Neal will beat the living ish of a person the size of Sugar Shane Mosley. But these are not regular people. These are professional boxers and champions. Now it was only a sparring fight, but I mean they went at it and they were beating the living ish out of each other. It was very competitive, especially since Shaquille O'Neal is a basketball player and he is known to run a lot, so he does have a lot of stamina. So I say if Sugar Shane Mosley and Oscar de la Hoya were fighting somebody that was not a basketball player, they would have took him out way earlier. So this is how I think that Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight will be, because there is a big size difference, and I think the fight will play pretty funny. I think Tank Davis will be on the outside and just fight in spurts while going in. And I really do not know what weight class this is gonna be, because Jake Paul has been fighting in heavyweight and Tank Davis really fights at 135 pounds. Now that is a big weight difference. And we do know Jake Paul has only 11 fights, but 9 of those fights came in knockouts. So Jake Paul does have power, even if those opponents that he knocked out were over the hill or UFC fighters, not really boxers. I mean, Jake Paul has made a career on fighting really old guys, non-boxers that were probably in their prime but just UFC fighters. And if the fighter is in their prime, it's probably somebody like Gervonta Tank Davis, where he outweighs Tank Davis over almost 100 pounds. And that one time that Jake Paul actually fought a real pro fighter in Fury, he actually lost. That's his only loss. And when he fought Tommy Fury was not even one of the best fighters. And now Jake Paul wants to fight Zurdo Ramirez. Zurdo Ramirez will give this guy a boxing lesson. Now, I love what Jake Paul is doing for women boxing. They're getting these girls paid because it's a very dangerous sport. But this fool gloats about beating old people that are senior citizens, and he acts like he beat them in their prime. I guess on paper, he could say that he actually beat Kid Dynamite, Iron Mike Tyson. I guess that's pretty cool to say. I would never brag about beating somebody old though. I think that is pretty embarrassing and you just took a L on yourself. But that's all, folks. Remember this, I ain't the biggest, I'm the baddest. And if you want to hop on your boy, throw a dollar at the super thanks. I gotta roll. Peace.